everyone, welcome to my Christmas devotion, and this is about Advent again. And if you remember, on Sunday we looked at peace, the Advent candle of peace. Peace in Hebrew, as you all know, is shalom, and peace in Greek is eirene, or what we would say in England, Irene. So if your name is Irene, your name means peace. Quite often in the Old and New Testament, when you see the word peace being used, it's often in the context of conflict, wars, trouble, turmoil, turbulence, chaos, and very often inner turmoil and chaos. And we can see this in John 14, where we read Jesus saying, "Do not be troubled. You trust God, now trust in me." A bit later on in verse 27, Jesus says, "Peace I leave with you, peace I give to you, not as the world gives, give I unto you. Do not let your hearts be troubled, do not be afraid." And in the context of chapter 14 and chapter 13 and 15 and 16, Jesus is encouraging his disciples and trying to speak peace into their lives, because he's just been telling them about his death. He's been telling them about his betrayal. He's telling them about the fact that the shepherd will be smitten, that's himself, and the sheep will be scattered, that's the disciples. And so you can see that in that scenario, they were pretty upset and troubled and worried and concerned. And Jesus wanted to put their minds and hearts at rest and bring them comfort and bring them that peace within. Another classical scenario is when Jesus was in the boat asleep and the disciples were taking him across to the other side of the lake, and suddenly a fierce storm, I believe it was demonic, arose, and the disciples were full of fear. They were scared for their very lives. And Jesus stood up and he rebuked the sea and the storm. He said, "Be still, be quiet." And I have it on good authority that if you go into the Aramaic, basically Jesus is using an Aramaic word that someone would use for a dog or a pet. And it's like, be still, be quiet, or even down, Fido. So Jesus was actually so powerful and so much in control and so sovereign that the wind and the waves were just like a dog or an animal cowering to its master. And Jesus brought calm and peace into their storm. Often reminds me of the scene or the picture or the analogy of the hurricane, and the eye or the center of the hurricane is at peace. And they reckon that if you could actually drop a feather into the eye of a hurricane, it would just gently float down to the bottom. But all around the eye is a storm and turbulence. And sometimes life is like that. I know a lot of people who are, their lives are in turmoil, in darkness, or in chaos. Even Christians, many who have lost loved ones, and they're just, their minds and their hearts are not at peace. And Jesus wants to come along and speak peace. And especially this Christmas time, where there's a lot of troubles going on around the world, and we can't be so blasé as Christians, think, well, it doesn't affect me. I'm a Christian. I love the Lord. Yes, we do. Yes, I'm at peace. There are some Christians that aren't at peace, and we can have turmoil in our hearts and troubles. And what we have to do is just go back to the Prince of Peace. We see that speaks about him in Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6, that Jesus is the Prince of Peace. And this Christmas time, I must admit, I'm finding it quite chaotic. And this day and other days ahead, I'm going to have to just go back to Jesus and find the peace in the storm. Find Jesus, the eye in the storm. And so this Christmas time, I pray for you. I pray for myself. I pray for our nation. Pray for the world, pray for our government. And Lord, I pray that there will be peace on earth and goodwill to all men. I'd like to see that in the Ukraine, We'd like to see it in our governments, in politics, and in our nation, in the royal family, in our churches, in our families, in our homes, in our lives. So Jesus, Prince of Peace, Lord, bring your shalom, bring your irene, bring calm and stillness and peace into our hearts this Christmas. Amen. Okay, folks, well, have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.